بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. It is Monday, the 12th of September 2022. And in our series, Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 359. And these days we are talking about the words used in the Holy Quran, chapter 2, verse 104. And this is the 7th broadcast about words of the verse 104. These broadcasts are brought to you by LASER, Lahore Ahmadiyya School of Education in Religion, which is a department of the Lahore Ahmadiyya movement. The Ahmadiyya movement was created by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, who taught that although other people bring at least one prophet after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, but the Holy Quran says the Holy Prophet was Khatamun Nabiyyin, and the Holy Prophet explained that by saying, La Nabi Abadi, there is no prophet after me. So now no prophet can come. And when the companions Rasulullah Ta'ala worried about this, what will happen if the Ummah goes astray? If a prophet cannot come, the Holy Prophet replied that Mujaddadeen, reformers will come, and they will help Muslims get back to the right path. And Mujaddids appeared, at least one every century, sometimes more than one. But Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said that his distinction was that other hadiths speak of the coming of the Messiah, and this does not mean that Jesus, son of Mary, will come, and it does not mean two people will come. But these are titles bestowed upon a mujaddid, a reformer, who will come among the Muslims. And when Hazrat Sahib started speaking about death of Jesus from the Holy Quran, then Muslims started calling him a heretic, a kafir, and so on. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said that Muslims are hasty in calling other reciters of the kalima kafirs. He pointed to the hadith which says that if one reciter of the kalima says to another reciter of the kalima, you are a kafir, you are a heretic, you are out of the fold of Islam, it is the person saying it who's out of the fold of Islam. And Hazrat Sahib also taught that Muslims believe that a hadith is the first source of our information about religion and so on. He pointed out that the first source of our knowledge should be the Holy Quran, and that is followed by the Sunnah. And then comes Hadith, which needs to be checked very carefully to make sure that it does not contradict the Holy Quran or other things. He also taught that people say that some prophetic revelation is missing from the Holy Quran. and some that is in the Holy Quran has been abrogated. He said this is not true because God promised to guard the Holy Quran himself. So the Holy Quran must be complete and perfect. So how can this be true that things are missing from it or things in it are cancelled? And Hazrat Sahib said that the jihad is the duty of every Muslim 24 hours a day. But jihad, as defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, who, when returning from fighting, said Muslims were returning from the minor jihad to the major jihad. And he said the major jihad is jihad bin nafs, a jihad against your own self, against your own soul. So with that, let us turn to the topic. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقولوا راعنا وقولوا انظرنا واسمعوا وللكافرين عذاب أليم. O you who believe, say not ra'ina and say unzurna and listen. And for the disbelievers, there is a painful chastisement. So let us go to my notes on the computer. Now this expression, Walil Kafirina, it has three segments. Wa, which is what I call the connecting word, and then lil, and then kafirin, which is a noun. The root form is kaf, fa, va. And this root appears 525 times in the Holy Quran in 14 different forms. So we have 289 times we have kafara, and 129 times we have kafirun, and 37 times we have kufr, and 27 times kafir, and 14 times kafara, and 14 times, and 12 times we have kufur, beg your pardon, kafur, and so on. And generally you find it translated as to disbelieve, disbelieved, they disbelieved, being rejected, and so on. That is the most common use in the Holy Quran, as we've seen when I gave the number of times. But it also, one form of it also means remove. And we'll see this in a little while. Now, the basic meaning of this word is either to hide or cover up. Because when you cover something up, it hides something. So night, same word is used for night because its darkness covers up everything. Black clouds for the same reason, and rivers and seas, because all of these things hide other things. The sea under it, it has sunken ships which are hidden, and sometimes ships which sank hundreds of years, perhaps even thousands of years ago, are found at the bottom of the sea. And of course, not just ships, many other things. A farmer, same word is used for the farmer. Why? Because he buries the seed in the earth. Talking about burying, the same word is used for the grave because it covers up the body that is put in. So where humans are concerned, then if someone, or the opposite of momin, is kafir, and who's a kafir? Someone who hides basic truths, fundamental truths. And he does his best not to let those truths come to the surface. And in fact, another interesting meaning, which I forgot to mention during the Urdu broadcast earlier on, was that a person who hides his own abilities and capabilities and doesn't use them is also a kafir. And in fact, a person who has abilities and capabilities and does not develop them, does not develop them to make them the best, the most skilled. The same word applies to him. And that is very interesting. Because a lot of the time people do that. We were in Hyderabad in India, and we went to this tailor, and he, on the machine next to him was his son. He must have been, 13, 14. So I suggested to him that boy should be in school learning. And he said, what for? He will waste 16 years in school and then leave and then join this shop. And I'll have to train him at that time. I started bringing him to the shop, he said, when this boy was 11 or 12 or something. And by the time he's 16, he'll be an expert in tailoring and so on and so forth. Now, you see, we don't know what capabilities that boy had. But you could say that this word applies to his father because his father is hindering the development of his son's abilities. So because of this hiding, you're hiding something. Also, to reject, to deny, has also become the meaning of the word kufr. And So when used opposite iman, then it means someone who denies the truthfulness of the truths stated in the Holy Quran. It is also, kufr is also the opposite of shukr, because shukr means that something is brought forward. And the expression kufran in nemat, that is to hide God's blessings, means to be ungrateful. And we have this, don't we? That you ask someone, oh, how's life? Oh, well, it's okay. And the guy, he pretends that he's really hard up, and or she is really hard up, and so on. And and yet in reality, they're okay. They're well off. They're probably saying this, why? Because, I don't know, if they owe you money, you might ask for your money back. Or you might think that, he's asking how I'm doing because he wants to borrow some money. And then, of course, we have kafara, which comes from the same thing. And kafara is, it's like if someone is fasting and he has to break his fast for some reason, and he goes to someone and says, what is the kafara for breaking the fast? So kafara means something. Kafara is something that will cover up the result of a mistake you made or something wrong that you might have done. I mean, some people say that kafarun has three roots. One is kufran, one is kufr, and one is kufur. And we've covered kafara. We've covered, yes, that's right, kufr and kufran. And kufur is used in a number of ways. And actually, interestingly, it's also used for medicine. And kafur is also used for the skin of a fruit, like, a grape, for example, because it hides the juicy part, etc. And this is the literal meaning of kafur. But it is actually means someone who's very ungrateful. Kufran, we had someone who was ungrateful. Kafur is extremely ungrateful. It's good, better, best. You are good at something, but you're better at something else, and best at something else. So it's in the same way that kafur means very ungrateful. Now, in the Quran, kufr has been used against iman, against faith, and also against shukr. And I have sort of briefly explained this before, and because these things, Arabic language justifies its meaning and grammar from the Holy Quran. So another term we have is kufr bit tawhut, and this is generally used like in, I think, verse 256 or 356. I can't read what I've got in my notes there. But it comes against Iman Billah. So faith in God. Now, God tells us to avoid kufr bit tawhut. And what is that? And that is turning to non-divine sources for help, rather than turning to Allah for help. Iman Billah means that you do everything in accordance with what Allah has commanded. And at Battle of Badr, the Holy Prophet prayed to Allah for help, not anyone else. And what do? If we have a problem, we don't turn to Allah. We try and find someone well connected, someone with plenty of money, and so on and so forth. And we think they'll put in a good word for us or pull some strings and so on. And we think Iman Billah is restricted to the length of the beard and the height of your trousers above the ankles and all this kind of thing. We've restricted Islam to what we can show off. And we don't consider moral and spiritual things which are not seen to be a part of Islam, Iman Billah. Take the example of a man, everyone sees him meticulous in his Fajr prayer and so on. And what he does is, after Fajr prayer, he goes home and goes to sleep and doesn't come to the office on time. And people say, my God, he's so meticulous in his Fajr prayer, and he doesn't miss it, whatever happens, and so on. But what about the fact that he's denying another verse of the Holy Quran, which says that, if you have entered into a contract with someone, if you've given someone a promise, then you fulfill that. And that man promised his employers that for a certain set of money, he'll work from, 9 to 5 or whatever. And so what we have done is that we've restricted Islam to kind of things, show off things, rather than real spiritual and moral values. And that is a sad thing, because what the Holy Prophet ﷺ presented as proof of his prophethood was his character, his truthfulness, his honesty, and so on and so forth. Who has the courage to go to a town full of people and say, is there anyone here who can say, I lied to them, that I was dishonest with them? The whole town. And everyone said, no, you've always been truthful. That was because he understood what real faith is. But I mean, kufr is not a term of abuse. If I create a political party, those who join it are members, those who don't join it are non-members. So those who join Islam are Muslims, those who don't join it are non-members, they're kafirs. It simply means that although we have done our best to try and make it into a term of abuse, in the Holy Quran it is not used as such. With that, we have come to the end of our broadcast. I request you to pray for Pakistan and people of Pakistan, because these days it is going through a very hard time with floods and all this kind of thing. And they're going to need help for coming 2 years at least, because crops have been washed away, so there are going to be food shortages. And of course, where crops are destroyed, then the following year there's difficulty and shortages of seed to grow further crops and so on. So if you can help with money, please donate. If you can help with time, please give your time to help these people. But if nothing else, turn to God and pray for them, that Allah may ease their burden. And with the prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep all of you safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and goodbye.